So I just heard about University of Regina Press a week and a half ago, and I understand that it came out of a research foundation. How are those two connected still?
Well, Canadian Plains Research Centre Press started in 1973, 74. It's published over 200 books. And a number of years ago, the center was actually closed down. And so the university had to figure out what were they going to do with this little publishing unit that existed within the center. And so what they decided to do, they brought in an outside expert who did a report on the viability of the press and should it be closed or should it be turned into something else. And the recommendation came in that the press had published some excellent books over that time frame, and that it in fact should be taken from a small regional press and turned into a university press. And so I was brought in 3 years ago. In fact, February 1st is when my contract started 3 years ago. And we launched the press in June 2013, so we're about 2.5 years old now. And so my mandate was to come in and increase the number of books that are being published, formalize the peer review process, make the press economically viable, and to create a brand that is recognized both on campus and across the country and internationally. So that's really what we've been up to.
What is your connection with the university?
I report to VP Research. We are a unit within the university. So all of our policies and procedures come from the university. We're paid by the university. So we are a part of the university. My goal as a director is to take the university's strategic plan and to implement it within the press the best we can. So certainly in terms of indigenization, we have over 20 First Nations authors in development right now. So those stories will be heard. And I mean, we constantly hear through Truth and Reconciliation that what we need to do is listen and hear the voices of First Nations and Indigenous people. And so that's what we're doing. Sustainability, all our books are on post-recyclable paper. I'm on the board of an environmental organization called Canopy, which in fact started the introduced post-recyclable paper into the publishing scene in Canada, and now we're working with the biggest brands in the world, the New York Times, Hearst, Zara, H&M, small outfit in Vancouver. Sustainability, building the recognition of the university across Canada and around the world. And so everywhere our books are published, so our books are in the Harvard Library. And so scholars can find books from University of Regina Press there. So it's about letting the world know that this institution exists and that we're doing excellent work, which is a reflection of the excellent work of our institution. So we're part of a larger ecosystem.
Okay. How many books do you print a year approximately?
We started with 10 in 2013, and this year, 2016, I think we'll have 20. When I came to Regina and met with my team and also the people who hired me at the university, I told them this would not be business as usual, that we're not going to do things like the other university presses in the country, which I know very well. I've worked in academic publishing for a long time and trade publishing. And so what we've done is we've published 3 national bestsellers since we launched the press 2.5 years ago, which is more or less unheard of in academic publishing in Canada, and have established really, our brand is really well known within academic circles and within writers circles and amongst publishers, and in many ways, more importantly, the media. So we get a lot of attention for the books that we publish, which is how you end up publishing bestsellers. Right. And so it's been very exciting.
When I first heard about the press, I assumed that the press did stuff for students.
We're publishing books that the students are reading.
Okay.
So for this one, for instance, it's being adopted into university classrooms across the country and high schools. So that's really, I mean, when you think about how best can we honor Augie Morasti, who struggled to tell his story because it was so important and he really wanted it to be heard. I love that it's being taught in classrooms, and especially high schools.
That's huge.
It's huge. And then Clearing the Plains, as I said, is rewritten Canadian history, and this is being taught all over the country. So these are, in fact, books for students. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And this one, Children of the Broken Treaty, I mean, we've heard from so many young people, and I've always been so surprised at how many young people are reading this book, because it is a story of kids. And he does a really great job of telling that story, and it's being read by kids, and I love that. So in a lot of ways, we are publishing books for young people as well as for scholars and just general readers.
The Open Access Program.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Open Access is a movement that started in many ways in response to the fact that multinational publishers it's really about journals and making journals so expensive. And all of the research that goes into journals comes from, a lot of it from publicly funded universities. Then these journals get these articles and they put them in, they bundle them together, and then they say in order for you to have access to this journal A, for instance, which everybody wants to read, you have to buy journal C, D, and E. This is sort of like the way the cable companies operate.
Right.
And you have to pay for all that, and it takes up almost the entire budget of libraries. So it's just this sort of the corporatization of publicly funded research has made it almost inaccessible to the people who need it most. I mean, we're seeing it at our own library here. They have to cut back on journals because they can't afford it, especially with the Canadian dollar dropping so low. It means that what they were able to buy 5 months ago, they can't afford to buy now. So it's just made that part of publishing too expensive, but that part of publishing has an impact on all parts of publishing. So it started this conversation about how to make this material freely available, the way it should be in many ways, and make it accessible for a broader audience. So I'm very interested in open access publishing because it's an opportunity to democratize knowledge. So you don't need to have a lot of money to learn. But if you're taking a first-year psychology course and you have to buy the textbook, it's going to cost you $120.
At least.
At least. Or you're doing stats, or you're doing all of these things. And so open access was a discussion that's been happening, and I thought we should do some open access publishing. So we started with a book called Free Knowledge, Commodification of Human Discovery. And we made it open access, and so we both made it available for free online, and we also printed it. And that way people can, if they want to, they can buy it if they want. And what happened was that Library Journal, which is the most important magazine for librarians in North America, chose it as an editor's pick. And so our print version, which I thought we'd have for a couple of years, sold out immediately, and we had to go back to press. So that's the power of just that one review. An editor's pick from Library Journal is very powerful.